Hey guys, and welcome to another guide for Season 6 League of Legends support role, and in today's guide we're going over Pantheon. Now Pantheon isn't really a support champion, is he? But he can be adapted to the role and he can work very good because you're against squishy opponents, and Pantheon is one of the best snowballing champions in the game. And I say that because he has a very unique kit that's sort of put around assassination as well as being really tanky and sustaining. So Pantheon was my first ever champion in League, and I sort of forgot about him, so I thought it would only be right to, you know, put him into the support role and see what he can do, and I've had some great results. So I'm going to explain that to you as follows. So bring up his skills. Aegis of Protection. After attacking or casting a spell 4 times, Pantheon will block the next incoming basic attack or turret attack. So this is essentially good for late game diving, for other diving, even early game diving, although I wouldn't probably recommend that, but if you're over exaggerating and you want to really snowball the game and you're sort of an ambitious player, then so be it. His kit will suit you to a T. So this goes hand in hand with the rest of his kit. His Q is Spear Shot. Not much to say about this. He throws a spear at an opponent, dealing damage. That's all it is. It's just your poking lane, and it can get an enemy champion's health down really quickly. So they'll be chugging through those pots. So his W is Aegis of Zionia. Pantheon leaps to an enemy, bashes the enemy with his shield, which stuns them. After finishing the attack, Pantheon readies himself to block the next attack. Now this is essentially good. Keep saying essentially. It's really good with his passive Aegis Protection. It procs it so you don't take that initial damage and they're stunned as well. So it saves you a bit of protection going in early levels. So his E is what makes a really good Pantheon player. Pantheon focuses and unleashes 3 swift strikes to the area in front of him, dealing double damage to champions. Pantheon also becomes more aware of enemies' vital spots, allowing himself to always crit enemies below 15% health. Now below 15% health, that is very key. So you're looking at doing his combo. So Pantheon's combo is as follows. It's usually poke them down with Q, Q, W, Q, E, and that should probably secure a kill. So Pantheon has a level 3 power spike, and once he has those three skills, you should always go in and see if you can get a kill. Even if you have a passive ADC such as Ezreal or a Corki that needs to scale up, but you can still probably secure a kill. And that is if you take Ignite. I would always take Ignite on a Pantheon support, because you're trying to, the whole basis of being Pantheon support is to snowball the game in that first 10-minute period. If you don't, you're probably going to have a hard time late game. So Heartseeker Strike should only be used once the enemy has been chunked, so it does its full damage potential. So his R is Grand Skyfall. This again separates a good Pantheon from a bad one. Pantheon composes himself, then leaps into the air to a target, striking all enemy units in an area. Enemies that are closer to the impact crater take more damage from Pantheon. So this is good for snowballing your mid lane. If you've got your bot lane ahead, you can ult to the mid lane. This works especially well with champions like, off the top of my head, Lux, who have got a lot of CC, Malzahar, you know, people like that. Anybody, it doesn't really matter. Even your jungle, for invading jungle and turning fights round, it's a global, so you know you're going to be here, there and everywhere. So it's essentially good for Pantheon in itself. So that is basically his skill set. That's what makes Pantheon the threat that he is. He can get in, get a combo, he can initiate fights, he can be wherever he wants to be. So for his runes, I've came up with this: 9 attack damage reds, 9 scaling armor yellows, 9 magic resist blues, 3 quintessences of armor. The reason I take scaling armor yellows is because you don't really need the flat armor in the beginning. You're not going to take that much damage, you're going to keep your sustaining lane with your Aegis Protection, and also you'll have your Aegis of Zionia. So it's not really essential. You can take flat, I mean there's nothing against it. You can also take cooldown reduction as well, although I'd probably just stick to the runes that I've picked because it gives you a nice balance, and it makes you a monster once you've snowballed the game, and you level up more quicker than the enemy opponents, enemy champions. That makes you a complete monster, and you shouldn't be getting one shot or anything like that. So his masteries are as follows. So you got Ferocity, so I go 12 and 18. So I end on Oppressor in Ferocity. Deal 2.5% increased damage to targets with impaired movement. It works especially well with your W and your E. It synergizes really well because you're going to stun them, keep them in place. It helps if your allies have got a bit of CC as well, so you're always doing that extra 2.5% increased damage. For his Cunning, I take Bandit, so that's 1 gold for nearby enemy. 1 gold for nearby minion killed, 10 when hitting an enemy with a basic attack. So it's going to be 10 gold for Pantheon if he gets in the melee range. It's 3 gold if you throw a spear or whatever. You know what Bandit does. Precision, gain 3 plus 0.3 magic pen, armor pen per level. Works especially well with the kit that I'm gonna, with the build that I'm gonna offer you just now. You'll soon see why I take that. And Thunderlord's Decree, 3rd attack or damage and spell cast that lightning strike, dealing that magic damage in the area. This is a bursty champion. This is an assassination type champion. He's going to need that Thunderlord's Decree. So combine that all in all, his kit with his masteries and his runes, Pantheon is a really big threat as a support player, and as the levels go on, and if it's still equal, you can still do a lot of damage. As I said before, take Ignite on Pantheon because you're looking to snowball that first 10 minutes. So his build is as follows. Face of the Mountain, Eye of Equinox, your boots, Sightstone, Sweeping Lens, they're your normal core, although I'd probably always take Face of the Mountain. I would always take that because of the shield it gives you. Eye of Equinox, I'd rather just build the Sightstone on the side. You don't really need that extra space for an item. For your boots, almost every time I take Swiftness or Mobility. It's always gap closing with Pantheon. You can take Merc Treads if you're behind and they have, you know, a lot of AP CC. However, I would probably always stick to Swiftness or Mobility for gap closing, as I said. For your options, Deadman's Plate is essentially good on Pantheon. You want to take that for the gap closing. Again, it's all about getting in and getting your W off so that you can lock them down for the rest of your team to burst them down. So Deadman's Plate is of course a really good item to have. Along with that, you've got Randuins Omen. It makes you even more phenomenal, and your sustain is even better. Takes away that 10% damage from critical strikes. Locket of Iron Solari as well. If you've got a bursty mid laner and you want to protect the rest of your squishies, it's got that active on it that does that. It takes a good shield for them. Warmog's Armor, again, this is good if you just want that sustain in team fights and you're already really tanky. Makes it impossible for them to kill you, and you can always step out and let it regenerate. Banshee's Veil is good if you're getting burst down by the enemy mid laner or top laner. It saves you from getting grabbed from a Blitzcrank hook, stuff like that. So it's probably a selfish build. I'd probably stick to the Locket of Iron Solari if you're going for magic resist. On top of that, your offensive items are more tanky offensive, so I'd probably focus on building the Black Cleaver more than the Titanic Hydra. Titanic Hydra is situational. I'd probably take that if they have a split pusher. It answers to it, and you're the support as well, so you're not the main focus of the damage coming from your team. You can go out to the mid lane, the side lanes, and you can push them without having any threat, basically. You also have your R, your Grand Skyfall to get away if you really want to rub it in their faces. So the Black Cleaver offers you health, 300 health I think, 50 odd attack damage, and it gives you a 20% cooldown reduction as well. Its passive synergizes really well with your Oppressor and your Heartseeker Strike. I think it's, let me just see, dealing physical damage to an enemy champion, cleaves them, reducing their armor by 5% for 6 seconds, stacks up to 6 times, up to 30%. So you've also got your precision, you gain 3 armor penetration per level, and you got your Heartseeker Strike to do that extra crit to the 15% health below enemies. So it's a really good all-in-all item. I'd probably build that first so that you can snowball it even more. It gives you the tankiness, and it gives you the opportunity to burst them down even further. So that is his build. I mean, it's very optional. You can go with what you like, whatever suits you. This is what I would prefer on Pantheon. He's a very snowbally champion, so if you want to get games over quickly, he's the champion to pick, although it is very risky because if it doesn't work out, then the game is going to drag on even longer, and you're probably only going to be a meat shield for your team. However, that's what most supports are. So Pantheon, between the first 20 minutes you really want to snowball your team ahead. You snowball your bot lane, you snowball your mid lane, you probably get fed yourself, and that's basically it. So thank you for watching this guide, guys. I hope it's encouraged you to play Pantheon support. If you do play him, let me know how you get on with him. I mean, I've got on really well with him. I've never lost a game with him, so he's a really good champion. So thank you for watching my guide once again, and I shall see you in the next one.